decade, very long time. I'd like to acknowledge and pay respect to the traditional owners of the land on which we meet. My name is Tamina Ansari, by day a reporter for the ABC, by night a poor cook but an excellent eater. In light of the theme tonight, celebrating friendship, let's encourage that atmosphere with a few little housekeeping rules. Now, you will be able to keep your mobile phones throughout the night for an exciting competition we've got taking place later on. But at the moment, if you could just put them on silent, that would be great. Now, if you don't actually have a mobile phone, I suggest you go and buy one. The bathrooms, I believe, are to my left, and let's just throw in a fun rule. I'd like to encourage each person tonight to talk to at least 2 or 3 people that you don't already know, and as women, we all love to talk, so I'm sure that won't be a problem. Throughout the night, we'd love to see some photos of what you guys are doing, what you're enjoying, and a little bit of the socialising. As you'll see on my screen to my left, we're going to have a number up there, which is over there, where feel free to send through your photos to that number. And if that wasn't an incentive enough, for once it actually pays to take a selfie, we'll be selecting the top photo of the night, and that person will win 2 nudie vouchers, so please get snapping. In order to start our evening's proceedings, can I please call upon the Reverend Mary Pearson from the Uniting Church of Sydney and ACT to give the acknowledgement to country. Please make her feel welcome.
I would like to acknowledge the Darug and Barramatagal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting tonight, and to pay respect to their elders past and present. Thank you.
Ladies, distinguished guests, Industrial Relations Commissioner Inam Taba AM, the Honourable Barbara Perry, Member of the Legislative Assembly, Member for Auburn, Shadow Minister for Ageing, Shadow Minister for Disability Services, Shadow Minister for Mental Health, Shadow Minister for Heritage, Member of the Australian Labor Party, boy that was a mouthful. On behalf of the Steering Committee of Affinity Intercultural Foundation, Uniting Church Sydney and ACT, Catholic Diocese of Parramatta, New South Wales Jewish Board of Deputies, I would like to welcome all of you to the 10th anniversary of the Women of Faith dinner. I think that deserves a bit of a round of applause. Now, the Women of Faith dinner is a unique intercultural and interfaith event, allowing women from all faiths and cultural backgrounds to network, interact and to get to know each other on a social platform. As women, we are the glue that binds society together, and what better way to foster inclusion than a group of dynamic women coming together on a lovely Sunday evening. Tonight's theme is celebrating friendship, so we hope old friends can reconnect tonight, and we hope new friendships will blossom and form into lifelong friendships. I would now like to invite Ms. Melissa McCurdy from the Women of Faith Steering Committee and New South Wales Jewish Board of Deputies to officially kick off our program this evening. Round of applause.
Good evening to our dignitaries who've been introduced to you, and to our other special guests, Mrs. Salia Saluk, Public Relations Manager of Galaxy Foundation, Mrs. Zulaya Keskin, Vice President of the Islamic Science and Research Academy of Australia, Mrs. Josie Lacey, Life Member of the Executive Council of Australian Jewry, Life Member of the Ethnic Communities Council, Chairperson of the World Conference of Religions for Peace, New South Wales, Interfaith Advisor to the Federation of Ethnic Communities Councils of Australia, and the Australian Partnership of Religious Organisations, Ms. Monica Vaughan from the Catholic Parish of St Charles, Borromeo at Ryde, Member of Western Sydney Women Interfaith Network, Mrs. Haja Saral, Advisor and Community Services Manager of the Australian Relief Organisation, and all of you, our welcome and valued guests. Good evening. I'm Melissa McCurdy of the New South Wales Jewish Board of Deputies, and on behalf of the organisations that make up the Steering Committee of the Women of Faith dinner, namely, as you already know, Affinity Intercultural Foundation, the Catholic Diocese of Parramatta, the Uniting Church Synod of New South Wales and the ACT, and the New South Wales Jewish Board of Deputies, I welcome you here this evening to our 10th anniversary Woman of Faith dinner, where our theme is celebrating friendships. When preparing this introduction this past week, I got to thinking about friendships which embrace multiculturalism. In fact, I got to thinking about multiculturalism itself. It's a term used in Australia very frequently, but what does it really mean? It is defined in Wikipedia as signifying cultural diversity and the ideologies or policies that promote that diversity. I then got to thinking about the individuals, and it occurred to me that actually each one of us embodies cultural diversity to a greater or lesser degree. Taking my own background, for example, my ancestors came from the land of Israel in biblical times. I know this because my father is what is called in Hebrew a kohen, a priest. They used to serve in the temple, and it's passed on from father to son through the generations. Moving on to my more recent family history, my one set of grandparents came from Russia. My other set of grandparents, one of them came from Poland and one from Latvia. My father was born in France, my mother in Poland. I was born in South Africa. My husband was born in Scotland. Our children were born in South Africa. We emigrated to Australia, and our grandchildren are born in Australia, and we're Jewish. That's 8 countries intimately involved in who my children are and who I am and where we come from. It's quite a mixture. But I know that I'm not unique. I'm sure that many of you in this room can claim maybe more or maybe fewer countries in your history, but you certainly have a variety of countries and possibly even a variety of religions in your background. That makes each one of us a multicultural person. It is what makes us interesting people and what makes our society interesting, creating a mix of religions, cultures, languages, foods, histories, and philosophies. We have so much to learn from one another and so much to share. I feel humbled and honoured to be part of the organising committee of this annual Woman of Faith dinner, which celebrates our differences in an atmosphere of tolerance, enjoyment, and mutual respect. It also shows how people of different faiths and backgrounds can work together for the benefit of all. Thank you for joining us, and I hope that you'll enjoy yourselves while meeting new people, making new friends, learning about each other this evening. And talking of priests, let me leave you with a priestly blessing which they can bestow on the community. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord look kindly upon you and give you peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. To delight your ears and melt your hearts, we will have scripture readings throughout the night from the Jewish, Christian and Muslim traditions, sharing their sacred texts with you. So without further ado, I would like to invite Ms. Phoebe Port, our Jewish text reciter, to recite from the Holy Torah.
Hi, I'm Phoebe. In Jewish tradition, it's very customary at meal times to share a word of wisdom, which is what I'd like to share with you. So I will read you an excerpt of a scripture from the Jewish canon. So the book of Ruth is part of the Hebrew scriptures or the Old Testament of the Bible. A short story, the book tells the story of Ruth, a Moabite woman who had married one of the sons of Naomi, Boaz, and later became the mother of Obed, the grandfather of King David, making her one of the matriarchs of the Jewish royal household and a maternal ancestor of the Jewish people. This book is a tale of friendship between two women, Ruth and Naomi, from different tribes, different lands, different beliefs, but shows an innate and fundamental understanding of what it means to be a woman. From their relationship, we learn the power of friendship and the way in which women can influence the course of history through her compassion, her determinism, and abundance of spirit. The book of Ruth is read on Shavuot, the festival when Jewish people around the world celebrate the giving of the Torah, our laws, our commandments, our identity, teaching us that friendship and respect for humanity is at the very core of our practice. So here's an excerpt from the book. ותאמר נעמי לשתיים, כלותיה לחנה שובה, יישא לבית אמה יעשר, השם עמכם חסד, כאשר עשיתם עם המתים בעמדי. ייתן השם לכם ומצא מנוחה, יישא בית אישה ותשק להם, ותשנה קולם ותבחינה. תנומרנה כי איתך נשוב לעמך. ותאמר נעמי שובנה, בנותיי למה תלכנה עמי, העוד לי בנים במאי היו לכם לאנשים. שובנה בנותיי לכם, כי זכרתי להיות לאיש, כי אמרתי יש לי תקווה, גם הייתי הלילה לאיש וגם ידעתי בנים. And Naomi said to her two daughter-in-laws, Go, return each of you to her mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant you that you may find rest, each of you in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voice and wept. And they said to her, No, we will return with you to your people. And Naomi said, Turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands? Turn back, my daughters. Go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say, I have hope, even if I should have a husband tonight and should bear sons, would you wait for them till they were grown? Would you for them refrain from having husbands? No, my daughters, for it grieves me much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. And they lifted up their voices and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth held fast to her. And she said, Behold, your sister-in-law is gone back to her people and to her gods. Go back you after your sister-in-law. And Ruth said, Do not entreat me to leave you or to keep from following you. For wherever you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if even death parts me from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Phoebe. That was very powerful indeed. I would now like to invite our Christian text reciter, Sister Louise McCoe, to read from the New Testament, Luke's Gospel.
Thank you, everybody. I think this reading follows on beautifully from what we've just heard from our Jewish tradition. The Christian gospel speaks of the friendship of women and the intergenerational handing on of wisdom from woman to woman, the sharing of faith, hospitality, and open-heartedness, being present to each other in the joys and sorrows of the human journey. The Gospel of Luke tells the story of Mary visiting Elizabeth. the story of a friendship empowering both women in the living of intergenerational lives. From Luke 1:39 to 45. Soon afterwards, Mary got ready and hurried off to the town in the hill country of Judea. She went into Zachariah's house and greeted Elizabeth. When Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, the baby in her womb moved within her. Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit, and she said in a loud voice, "You are the most blessed of all women, and blessed is the child you will bear. Why should this great thing happen to me, that my Lord's mother come to me? For as soon as I heard your greeting, the baby within me jumped with gladness. How happy you are to believe that the Lord's message to you will come true." And Mary sang her song of praise. "My soul magnifies the Lord, my spirit rejoices in God my Saviour. For he has looked with favour on the lowliness of his servant. Surely from now on all generations will call me blessed. For the Mighty One has done great things for me, and holy is God's name. His mercies for those who fear him from generation to generation. He has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. He has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his mercy, according to the promise he made to our ancestors, to Abraham and to his descendants forever." And Mary remained with her about 3 months, and then returned to her home.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Sister Louise. Again, a very beautiful and heartfelt recitation. I would now like to invite our Muslim text reciter, Sindus Abdullah, to recite from the Holy Quran. Please make her feel welcome.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الذين آمنوا والذين هادوا والنصارى والصابئين من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وعمل صالحا فلهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل آمنا بالله وما أنزل علينا على إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنما المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you, Sister, for that beautiful recitation. What an amazing voice. Now I'll also provide the translation of these beautiful verses for those who don't understand Arabic. In the name of God, most gracious and most merciful, those who believe in the Quran, those who follow the Jewish scriptures and the Sabians and the Christians, any who believe in God and the last day and work righteousness, on them shall be no fear, nor shall they grieve. Say, we believe in God and in what has been revealed to us, and what was revealed to Abraham, Ismail, Isaac, Jacob, and the tribes, and in the books given to Moses, Jesus, and the prophets from their Lord. We make no distinction between one another among them, and to Allah do we bow our will in Islam. The believers are but a single brotherhood, so make peace and reconciliation between your two contending brothers, and fear God that ye may receive mercy. O mankind, we created you from a single pair of a male and a female, and made you into nations and tribes, that ye may know each other, not that ye may despise each other. Verily, the most honoured of you in the sight of God is he who is the most righteous of you, and God has full knowledge and is well acquainted with all things. So ladies, now we reach that point of the night where it's dinner time. Our hearts and souls have been nourished by the beautiful recitation of these sacred texts. It's now only fitting that we also nourish our appetites. So dinner will now be served slowly, table by table, and I hope that you guys will take this opportunity to socialise, to get to know one another, and share a meal together. Maybe even send through a few snaps and a few selfies while you're eating dinner before it gets devoured. So I'll be back here shortly. Enjoy. She migrated to Australia, where she wished to pursue a career in teaching. In the interim, she enrolled with a temping agency and obtained 2 weeks' engagement as a secretary at the Masters Builders Association of New South Wales. The 2 weeks became 17 years, and in that time she gained a number of promotions, culminating in her appointment in 1982 as Executive Officer of the Industrial Relations and Safety. Her service to industrial relations and to the community through her efforts with the Australian Council of Women's Affairs was recognised in 2012 when, on Australia Day, she was appointed a member in the General Division of the Order of Australia. Amongst her many achievements, she was the first female and first Muslim industrial officer in the building industry. She was the first and is the only Muslim Commissioner for Industrial Relations in the entire country. She was the first Muslim magistrate in the country. She's the first female president of the Australian Sports Club, and she was elected to the Committee of Management of the Industrial Relations Society of New South Wales in August last year. Ladies, I think this woman deserves a big round of applause. Can you please join me in welcoming Industrial Relations Commissioner Ms. Inam Taba?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I would like to show my respects and acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, our elders past and present, on which this event takes place. I'm very, very grateful for you listening to me here tonight, for attending this function. I'm grateful to the committee for setting this up, and I'm very impressed with what they've done. Well, I started, as has been said, for 2 weeks temping job, and I finished 17 years later. So I do find it very hard, it takes me a long time to say goodbye. So if I go over time, just let me know. All right. My parents were both Syrian. They got married in Syria. My father was a middleweight champion wrestler. So he went off to have a tournament in Egypt. From Egypt, he went to West Africa. West Africa was what Australia is to many migrants here today. So he went off to make his fortune there, sent for my mum, and the rest is history. We were all born in Nigeria. I went to Our Lady of Apostles Catholic. It was a convent school. I will hold it against Catholics. It was the first and only school where I was kicked out of school at age 7. It was my turn to pick flowers that day for the class. I went off to pick flowers, and I was a little thing, and I saw this little flower right there in front of me on the ground, and I thought, God sent this to me because I can't reach anything else. So I picked it, brought it to the class, and that day we were rehearsing a nativity play. I was one of the wise men. So I was standing there and I was practicing, I was rehearsing when Sister Liam, I don't remember names, I remember Sister Liam. She came along walking, and then she stopped, retraced her steps, and said, "Who picked the flowers today?" And I thought, "Me, that's me." And I thought, here it comes, praise, praise. She says, "Pack your bags and go home." Apparently it flowers once a year. And so I went out, took my bag, and stood in the middle of the grounds there, and I could go home. I'm not allowed to go home by myself. So I stood there, started drizzling. The teacher came out and said, "What are you doing out there?" And I said, "Sister Liam sent me home." She says, "Come back in the class." So on the way in the corridor, Sister Liam walks past me, my heart stopped. She reached out and did this to me. Off I went to class, she'd forgotten about it. So that was my experience in my primary school. Then I went to Queen's College, which was an English-run school for 5 years, where I did my school certificate. And along the way, I'll be talking, because we're talking about friendships, I'll be talking about endearing friendships that I made in that time. And I was the only non-black student in that school for the 5 years. And my best friend was a Nigerian girl. She and I were very close. I can't find her on Facebook, because when we leave school, we go in our different directions, and I couldn't find her. But we were best friends for 5 years. And we had members of our community, unfortunately, who kept saying to my mum, why don't you send them overseas to study? How can you put them in a black school? Unfortunately. And she says, they're getting an education. And that's how we became colorblind. There was no such thing. I would walk around with my arm around my best friend, her arm around me. In those days, there was no connotations to it, nothing at all. We were best friends. She didn't see my color, I did not see her color. And that's the way it should be. And that's one of the things I want to leave you with tonight, that as mothers, as sisters, as daughters, bigotry starts at home. It's got nothing to do with our religions. And you have a great deal of influence you can exert on your children. A great deal of influence, much more than you can imagine. There's no need to say this is black, or this is white, or this is Christian, or this is Muslim, or this is Jewish. All roads lead to God. No matter which name you call him, all roads lead to him. That's one of my philosophies in life. You can take the M2, the M5, the M7, Parramatta Road, Hume Highway, whatever, they all get to the city. Some might be slower than others, some might be longer than others. We all will end up before our God. And it's the same God. So that's one message I want to leave with you tonight, that you can make sure that your children don't have those ideas that people had 30, 40 years ago, and unfortunately some still have. Then I went to the American International School, and there I met a Canadian girl, and I was very, very close friends with this Canadian girl. We made it through everything, we were very tight. As you know, you make up all these acquaintances on your way. She became school captain 1 year, I became school captain the next year. Unfortunately, there was a falling out because I believed she did not respect me when I was school captain the second year. So there was this falling out, and she ended up falling pregnant to a Nigerian boy. And her parents kicked her out. The school, everybody turned their backs on her. She went to live with two school teachers who were married from ISI. And I would walk past her every day. I wanted to say something. I wanted to make up, but my pride did not let me. And to this day, I regret that a friend, when she needed me, I was not there. I will regret it for the rest of my life. I've tried to find her on Facebook, tried to find her in various things. No matter what she did, it's not my place to judge. It's not my place to judge, but when she needed me, that's my one regret. I was not there because of my pride. Okay, everyone's being quiet now. When I came out of there, I wanted to be a school teacher. I've always wanted to be a school teacher. I always went around. Every chair in our house had a name, and I carried a ruler, and I taught every chair, and I smacked every chair. So obviously when I left school, I was going to be a school teacher. And I did go to a Corona Schools, an English-run school in Nigeria, where I wanted to be a trainee teacher. And I met a Scottish girl there whose son was just about a year younger than me. And I've been friends with her ever since. She's back in Scotland, I'm here. She's been to visit me here. She's waiting for me to visit her. We exchange cards, we exchange all sorts of messages. But that's one of those endearing relationships that you have. And she's Scottish, and she's obviously not Muslim. We migrated to Australia in 1973, and the very first day I arrived here, I went to a hostel and I met another best friend, a Scottish girl born in Australia. Her name was Heather, and it's as if she was born in Scotland. Name was Heather. She's a Scottish girl, and to this day, she disappears for about 10 years, and then she comes back into my life, just out of the blue. And it's as if we never separated. Best of friends. And the funny thing about her, in 1985, my mother passed away. And she turned up on the day of the funeral. On the very day of the funeral, she turned up. And she stayed with me for about a week. Afterwards, she said to me, I said, how did you know, how did you end up coming? I thought it was by accident. And she said, no. She said, my sister saw your mother. My sister saw your mother. Your mother came to her and said, tell Heather to go to my daughter, she needs her. And so Heather turned up. And sure enough, yes, I needed her. At a time of my life when I really needed someone, there was Heather, and there was another Filipino friend of mine that I met at law school, Cynthia, both standing by me, in the mosque, at home, everywhere. I went to the Master Builders Association for 2 weeks. It stretched to 17 years. One of my philosophies in life is you don't, and I hate it to this day, if somebody says, this is not my job, I'm not going to do it. When I went to work, everything that I was required to do, I did. Everything I was not required to do, I learned. I was like a sponge. Anything that there was to learn, I picked it up. I learned it. And that's how I came to be where I am today. And I had great assistance from my bosses. I gave loyalty, I received loyalty. And they helped me every step of the way. One of the biggest things that I found along the way is the way in which other women stand in your way. The men have been a great help to me. The women stand in your way. There was one period when the lady that I took the job from, she'd left the job about 3 months before I got there, so I've never met her. She came back looking for a job, she got a job there, and she immediately took a dislike to me because I was getting on with the bosses, people that were her bosses. And then she started spreading rumors, she started telling the other girls that the bosses said I was better than they were, etc., etc. And for 12 months I turned up to work every single day, and not one girl talked to me. Not one single girl talked to me. This went on for about 12 months, and then I met one of the girls in the bathroom. As I was walking past her, she stopped and said, "What's happened to our friendship?" And I said, "You tell me. I haven't changed. You tell me." Helen said, and I said, "I'm not responsible for what Helen says." "You know her to be a liar?" She said, "Yes." I said, "So why do you choose to believe her in this? Have you gone to the source to find out what was said? Am I responsible for what was said?" So for 12 months, everybody rallied around this one girl because she was the leader. And for 12 months, nobody talked to me, but I stuck it out. You know, my mother would ring me at lunchtime. When I got home, she'd say to me, "Where were you today? You know, with our culture, you know, with our religion, where were you today?" And I said, "I was at work. But I rang you, and so-and-so said you were not there. She doesn't know where you are." And I said, "Mum, this is what's going on. This is a girl I've been away with overseas and everything else. We were friends, and, you know." So, women, you have to support other women. You have to mentor other women. When I went and became magistrate, it was one of the most difficult jobs to do. because I went from one courthouse to another. The job was very, very fast, very complicated, very detailed. You had to know so many things, and the people who helped me were women. They mentored me, they became my friends. We need one another. We need one another. It's not time for jealousies. It's not time to pull people down if they're successful. We are ambassadors for our different cultures. We are ambassadors for our different religions. The more you excel, the more you show that you're a peaceful person, that you're a hardworking person, the more you give other people from your culture the opportunity to find a job, the opportunity to keep a job, because they've come across people like you from your culture who are doing a bloody good job. All right? So this is where you've got to stand by one another, you've got to mentor one another. It's not time for envy, it's not time for jealousies. This is the time when you assist one another and become an ambassador for whatever religion you are. When I was with the Master Builders Association, I went through various promotions, and I also made some lasting friendships. And some of them were from the union movement, even though we fought very, very hard. I remember when the first time I went to a building site, there was a dispute. I was told to go out there because there was no other person around, so you go. I went to the building site. I dealt with the dispute. I came back to work. That month there was a council of management meeting, all men, and I was in my office upstairs when my boss came up and said, they were talking about you at the council of management meeting. And I said, what about? Because it was one of those things we were really scared about, council of management. And he said, this builder got up during general business, and he said, I had a dispute on site. And I called the NBA, and they sent an industrial officer, and he said, the door opened from the car, a woman stepped out. A woman to deal with the Builders Labourers Federation, to deal with the BWIU. Who the hell would send me a woman? And I dealt with the dispute, and he got up at the council of management meeting to say that he was really impressed with the work I'd done. Another time there was a meeting that we had at Labour Council, and again there was BWIU, BLF, etc. And there was this guy, it was a major dispute, a major dispute. And one of the unionists was trying to throw me by swearing a lot. And I just ignored it. As far as I'm concerned, if somebody swears at me in my personal life, I will do something about it. In my work life, that's their problem. It's my job, I've got to handle it. It's not time for me to say, I'm a woman, don't say that in front of me. It's his breeding, it's not me. So that's the way I take it. Anyway, this guy kept saying to me, call the meeting off, call the meeting off. I can't call the meeting off. I will not resolve his dispute. And we had to get bans lifted. Anyway, after the meeting, we went back to work. He went straight to my boss to complain. He said, I've lived in Malaysia. This is an Anglo-Saxon Nazi. He said, I've lived in Malaysia for a few years, and he says, no nice Muslim girl should sit there and take that kind of language. She should have walked out. That's nice. It wouldn't have resolved the problem, but that was nice. And this is the type of thing, there's endeared the building industry to me. I've made friends, stayed friends with them for a long, long time, and I'm still friends with them. I did more education, as has been indicated. As I indicated before, I was appointed Commissioner to the Industrial Relations Commission, and the very first few months I was there, I was appointed in March. In December, I was the Duty Commissioner, and there was a building industry dispute. And usually they don't give you your own industry until you've spent about 2 or 3 months away from, years away from that industry. But I was duty commissioner, so I got the building industry dispute. And I said to the organizer at the time who was handling the dispute, I said, "Do you know my background?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Are you sure you want me to handle this dispute, or do you want me to try and get somebody else for you?" And he said, "No, we had a discussion about it in our office, and as far as we're concerned, you are fair, you can handle this." And to me, that was a great compliment, that they're allowing me to handle a dispute, knowing my background, knowing the fierce fights we used to have in the industry. One thing I will say is, when I was in the building industry, I was a different person at work from the person at home. At home, meek, mild, yes sir, no sir, dad, etc., because that's where we are. That's where we are. But at work, I had to be dominant. I had to be aggressive. Not aggressive to the point where I was abusive or anything, but I had to be assertive. I think that's a better word for it. A different person altogether. I couldn't show that side of me at home. At work, I was getting paid to do it. I had to do it. When I became magistrate, when I applied to be appointed as magistrate, I had to go before an interview panel, and I had to put in a formal application. And one of my referees, when I made the application, was His Honour Justice Steve Rothman, a judge of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and he was president of the New South Wales Jewish Board of Deputies from 2000 to 2004, and he currently holds or has held a number of other Jewish communal positions. I've known Steve since he was, a young organizer in the BWIU, and he went through and became a barrister, and now he's a Supreme Court judge. These are all people who help you along the way, and you help them along the way. I'm very grateful for that. As I indicated before, in '85, when my mother passed away, every single denomination, Christian religion and Jewish religion, attended the mosque for her funeral. And I'm very proud of that. She was a good woman. And she has encouraged us, and I have attended funerals in the synagogue. I've attended myriads of weddings, funerals, etc., for people from the Christian faith, different denominations. We have never distinguished between anybody. A death is a death, a friend is a friend, a friend's mother or father, a friend's mother or father. We are all one, we're all sons of Adam and Eve, irrespective. I remember one of my assistants at work said to me, she said, "Commissioner," she said, she was Indian, she said to me, "Commissioner, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you've achieved this. You've come so far." And I said to her, "Yvette, what about you? I can't achieve what you've achieved. Different women achieve different things. I've achieved this at work. But what about you? You have brought up 3 sons. First one was, he got first class honours in every field of engineering at uni. The second son achieved second class honours in every field of engineering. At that time, the third son hadn't completed. And I said, I can't achieve what you've achieved. Because she worked in the morning at home, she got on a train, she did knitting, contract knitting, she got to work, she did her work. In the evening, she went off and she worked in cleaning with somebody else, with her daughter, and then she walked all the way home to Doonside from Doonside Station. And she brought up 3 sons, and they achieved that much. We each achieve in a different way. So, I remember when I was researching this, I looked up the quotes and stuff because I was looking for friendships and things, and I came across a saying by George Washington, because, as I indicated, private life, social life, work lives, you meet numerous people on your journey. He said this, he said, be courteous to all, but intimate with few, and let those few be well tried before you give them your confidence. The younger people here, you'll come across 100 or so acquaintances, you'll have them all in your Facebook account, you'll have them on your contact lists on the phone, but as you get older, you can count your closest friends on your hands. You'll be lucky if you fill, both hands. There's not many that you can be friends with. All right, finally, what I wanted to say to everyone is be true to yourself, aim to become a person that you would like, a person you can live with. Irrespective of how many friends you have, one day you'll shut the door, you'll be on your own, and you'll think, do I have any regrets? Do I regret this or do I regret that? Be a person that has no regrets about anything that you've done. Be a person that you can look, when you sit and think back, you have no regrets. Because one day you might be on your own. I found it most apt saying by an anonymous author. It may be a sad note to end up on, but it's a fact of life which must be faced if we're not going to lie to ourselves. I've been stabbed in the back by those I needed most. I've been lied to by those I love. And I have felt alone when I couldn't afford to be. But at the end of the day, I had to learn to be my own best friend, because there's going to be days when no one is going to be there for me but myself. So be true to yourself, leave nothing to regret about, and be an ambassador for your religion, for your culture, and for women. Thank you.
Can we just please give Miss Inab another round of applause? That was just inspirational. I'd now like to call upon Rahil Ansari from Affinity and member of the steering committee to the stage to present our guest keynote speaker with a small gift. I'd like to invite our Christian performer, Ellie Ilya, to the stage to enlighten us with some of their performances. Please give them a round of applause.
Church, we're training to be ministers of the word. We'd like to start by singing you a song that was written by some friends of ours, some young people at a local church in the Inner West. So it's called I Will Sing.
Praise. You are
song is a gorgeous song. It comes from the island of Iona off Scotland. It's called Hey Nonny, and we're going to need your help for this song. There's a short little chorus that goes a bit like this.
God's kingdom is of heaven, of earth, of fire, of love.
So the words are, God's kingdom is of heaven, of earth, of fire, of love. Would you sing that with us? Let's try that again.
God's kingdom is of heaven, of earth, of fire, of love. God's kingdom is of heaven, of earth, of fire, of love.
So please join in when we get to the verse each time.
Blessed are the ones I call the poor. Hey, my love, and hold my joy. Blessed are the ones I call the poor, who dearly love me. Blessed are the ones I call the poor. The kingdom is their own for sure. God's kingdom is of heaven, of earth, of fire, of love. Blessed are the ones who deeply mourn. Hey, my love, and hold my joy. Blessed are the ones who deeply mourn, who dearly love me. Blessed are the ones who deeply mourn. God's comfort in their hearts is known. God's kingdom is of heaven, of earth, of fire, of love. Blessed are the ones who gently care. Hey, my love, and hold my joy. Blessed are the ones who gently care, who dearly love me. Blessed are the ones who gently care. They'll have the whole wide world to share. God's kingdom is of heaven, of earth, of fire, of love. Blessed are the ones who thirst for right. Hey, my joy, and hold my joy. Blessed are the ones who thirst for right, who dearly love me. Blessed are the ones who thirst for right. Their journey's end is filled with light. God's kingdom is of heaven, of earth, of fire, of love. Blessed are the ones who pardon all. Hey, my love, and hold my joy. Blessed are the ones who pardon all, who dearly love me. Blessed are the ones who pardon all. They'll be forgiven when they call. Everyone. God's kingdom is of heaven, of earth, of fire, of love. Blessed are the ones whose pure heart shines. Hey, my love, and hold my joy. Blessed are the ones whose pure heart shines, who dearly loves me. Blessed are the ones whose pure heart shines. They'll see their Lord and with him dine. God's kingdom is of heaven, of earth, of fire, of love. Blessed are the ones who work for peace. Hey, my love, and hold my joy. Blessed are the ones who work for peace, who dearly love me. Blessed are the ones who work for peace, as God's own children they'll increase. Last time. God's kingdom is of heaven, of earth, of fire, of love. So many years ago, I met this extraordinary woman. She was a blind woman, and she travelled around the world listening and learning and sharing songs from different cultures, different faiths. And she taught me this song a long time ago, and in truth, I think I've sort of forgotten the words and forgotten the tune, but sort of made my own version up, but I'll never forget the meaning of the words that she told me. And the words are, "Mother, have courage." So I'm going to invite you to sing this song with us. So I'm going to sing the first bit. So I'll just start and you join in as you can. It helps to bang your knees like this. Come on, women. Come with me. Hey, Dumba, hey, Dumba, hey, Dumadum, hey, Dumadum, hey, Dumba, hey, Dumba, hey, Dumadum. That's it. Hey, Dumadum, hey, Dumba, hey, Dumba, hey, Dumadum. Think of Mother, have courage. Hey, Dumadum. Hey, Dumba, hey, Dumba, hey, Dumadum, hey, Dumadum, hey, Dumba, hey, Dumba, hey, Dumadum, hey, Dumadum, hey, Dumba, hey, Dumba, hey, Dumadum, hey, Dumadum, hey. Have courage, women. Thank you.
Wow, what a performance that was. Now, the other day I was thinking of putting an entry into Australian Idol, but I think I'm going to withdraw that submission after that. We'd now like to hear from key representatives of the community who have been part of this dinner throughout the last decade. We'd like to pass the microphone to our first speaker, Josie Lacey, to share her thoughts on the Women of Faith dinner. So while we get the microphone ready and get it to Josie, I'll just tell you a little bit about Josie and who she is. Josie is the life member of the Executive Council of Australian Jewry, the roof body of the Australian Jewish community. Consultant to the Executive Council of Australia Jewry on relations with other ethnic and religious communities. Founding Governor of the Women's Interfaith Network, life member of the Ethnic Communities Council of New South Wales, Interfaith Advisor to the Federation of Ethnic Communities Council of Australia and the Australian Partnership of Religious Organisations, Consultant to the Executive Council of Australian Jewry on relations with other ethnicities, Chairperson of the World Conference of Religions for Peace New South Wales, for 15 years an Executive Member of the New South Wales Jewish Board of Deputies and Chairperson of the Board's Interfaith and Multicultural Relations Committee. Now, I don't know how she has time to even function doing all those roles, but we'll pass over the microphone to her. Please give her a warm welcome.
A very dangerous exercise. But as we have the Shadow Minister for the AG here, I feel safe and protected. As I look around the room, I see so many familiar faces that I share my interfaith life with. So many of you have become dear friends, friends from all different faiths, not just the Abrahamic ones. but it's just the Abrahamic ones that are here. 4th of April 2004 was the evening before the Jewish Passover. That was our first Women of Faith dinner. Not the best time for a Jewish woman to be away from home, to leave the intense time-consuming preparations. However, I did come, and quite a lot of my colleagues came as well. On that 4th of April 10 years ago, you presented a challenging topic on women and spirituality. After the 3 speakers finished, that was Sister Pauline Ray from the Columbans, Maha Abdo from the Muslim Women's Association, and me from the Jewish Board of Deputies, at the Para Villa Reception Lounge in Parramatta, we were pleasantly surprised by being given interfaith awards by Zuleika. Pauline Ray and I continued as members of the Women of Faith Steering Committee, as well as the Steering Committee of the Abrahamic Conference. For me, it was 8 years. 4 and a bit years before this dinner in 2004, the Women's Interfaith Network was launched at Parliament House. So some of you here were already meeting monthly. Interfaith work. There was, and I'm going to name names of people that I thought would be here that are not here, but I'll go on here. Zubaydah Rahman, Sister Krishmadigan, who's here at the next table, Pauline Ray, Caroline Haskey's here, Jamila Hussain. And then the North Parramatta Women started, which included you, Mary Pearson. Then St George Women. I don't know if there are any representatives who came to this dinner tonight, but they usually do. And now a Wollongong group. Ted, would you stand up to so everyone can see you? President of our 4th Women's Interfaith Network in Wollongong. In November of last year, I attended 2 large interfaith conferences in Vienna. They were very successful. Once was the CASID conference, which was hosted by King Abdullah Aziz of Saudi Arabia, who has an interfaith centre in Vienna. And the other one was Religions for Peace, which was a very large gathering of some between 700 and 1,000 people. I chaired the New South Wales branch. They were very successful. And as each speaker spoke, I would have loved to have stood up and said to them, you talk about interfaith very elegantly and very profoundly. However elegantly dressed you are, gentlemen, I wish you could see our women in Australia and listen to them. They didn't know much, but they did have very good speeches. How wonderful that once a year we all meet up at this great celebratory dinner and dance together to Dana Dior. I remember they had belly dances one year. Yeah. My husband's very upset it was just for women. It reminds me of Psalm 133 from the Hebrew Bible. How good and how pleasant it is for people to dwell together in unity. Of course, the word wasn't people, it was brethren, but how can we talk to them? I think it was meant to be people. In the turmoil of today's world, the search for the spiritual in order to heal our planet is intensifying. In Hebrew, we call it Tikkun Olam, the repair of the world. And I have every confidence that we will succeed if we continue to live together, to learn from each other, and to understand and respect our differences. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Josie. Next to share her thoughts with us is Monica Vaughn. I'll now read a little bit about Monica and introduce her while we get the mic ready for her. Monica has been involved in interfaith dialogue for almost 10 years and worked in education for more than 30 years. She was a member of the steering committee for the Home Encounters program, and for many years she has been a member of a Women's Interfaith Network group. She currently works as business manager at St Ursula's College, Kingsgrove, and is a member of the management committee for St Mary's Villa, Concord, an aged care facility, and plans to complete her Masters in Theology this year. In her spare time, she's involved in the work of partners in micro-development, supporting ESL and computer literacy in rural village schools in Sri Lanka. Monica is a member of St Charles Paramo Catholic Parish at Ryde. Please give her a warm welcome.
The experience of being here tonight is one of inspiration, friendship, and hope. Each year I come, I enjoy meeting again with friends and am warmed by the openness to each other as we engage in conversation at our tables. Before I get here, it is tempting to feel the presence of the week ahead and wish I didn't have to go out. But after many years of coming to this dinner, that feeling is now much more easily dismissed because I so easily recall the feeling I go home with, and I go home feeling glad to have come and looking forward to next year. But I also belong to an international women's group within the Catholic Church, a group that was founded by an Italian Renaissance woman in the 16th century. And her belief was, or her vision, was that when women took their faith seriously, when they lived it truly in their families and in their workplaces, fostering in their children and households values for living that were grounded in their faith, the world would be a better place. Women as natural nurturers, as the first educators of children, are the primary change agents for a better world. And 500 years later, what has changed? History is full of many amazing women who have made profound changes peacefully. And each year at these dinners, and monthly in my Women's Interfaith Network meetings, that potential of women of faith to be change agents for a better world is very palpable for me. In the friendship shared at each table, I sense the importance of faith to each one in their daily living, in their homes, in their workplaces. And it gives me hope that so many women, all of you in fact, are making our world a more compassionate place, a just world, a world to which our values are grounded in our faith in our God who is infinite tenderness and mercy, infinite love and compassion. The speakers too always inspire me with the same confidence in our potential as women. The speakers in themselves, in what they do and in what they share with us, are always inspiring. And even again tonight, I am still amazed. We are women of faith. And I thank each of you for your presence here tonight, for I am inspired by each of you as women of faith, and you give me hope that together, being strong in our faith, we can nurture the seeds of a better world. Thank you.
Similar to dinner, but it was 10 minutes ago. I I was reflecting on this event, and I think there are a lot of one-hit events that we see, where there's one event, it's great, the numbers are there, it's inspiring, but then it dies off. But to be able to have an event like this year after year, and to be able to continue to draw the numbers in without losing focus, without losing vision, but then to actually up it a gear by then forming an organising committee with people of other faiths, with the New South Wales Jewish Board of Deputies, Uniting Church, the Catholic Church. It really is a great achievement. And if one thing, it gives me hope. It gives me hope of what is possible when we come together based on our commonalities and on our humanness. I pray that we will see many, many more such women of faith dinners. Another 10, 20, God knows how many more we will see. Have a good evening, ladies.
Thank you, Tamina. What an amazing night. I would like to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight and celebrating with us the 10th anniversary of Women of Faith Dinner. Thank you for going one step further and sharing those beautiful pictures for the night. It's great to see everyone having so much fun. To our patron guest, Commissioner Ms. Inam Taba, we extend our gratitude to you for sharing your wisdom and inspiring words. We are grateful for your time and that we were able to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Women of Faith Dinner with you. I also want to acknowledge the support of Honourable Barbara Perry, Member of Parliament. She has been supporting this event for many years and plays an important role in bringing people of diverse backgrounds together. Her electorate, Auburn, is one of the diverse electorates in the nation, and to go to so many functions will take a lot out of her schedule. And for taking time to be with us tonight, we'd like to express our gratitude. To all those who shared sacred texts with us, thank you for sharing those blessed words and nourishing our souls. I would like to also extend a heartfelt thank you to our performers for the night. Thank you for sharing your heart and soul with us and illustrating that women celebrate in a style all of their own. All of tonight would not be possible without the continued support and commitment of our steering committee. I would like to thank Sister Louise McCurr from Catholic Diocese of Parramatta, Reverend Mary Pearson from Uniting Church Synod, Mrs. Melissa McCurry from New South Wales Jewish Board of Deputies, and Rahil Ansari from Affinity Intercultural Foundation. My thank you is not for the preparation for tonight only, but to all of those who initiated and contributed to the success of Women of Faith dinners held over the last 10 years, and who have added to the tapestry of colour that has now become the Women of Faith dinner. The theme of tonight is celebrating friendships. The Women of Faith dinners have provided a platform in a uniquely Australian way in which women of diversity have found friendships that can be celebrated over a lifetime. From dance to food to conversation, each one of you, in your own distinctive way, have contributed to making the Women of Faith dinner what it is today. We would like to thank our vivacious and lovely MC, Tamina Ansari from Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Thank you, Tamina. Have a good evening, ladies.